Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, February 12th, 2026, and this is actually the Saturday video, and I just wanted to give it to you guys so that you could watch it and get your last assignments done on course number 8. As soon as I get all of them in, then I'll hit them and give you your grades and put them on your transcript. So if you can, go ahead and listen to this and answer the question so that we can move on, because then all you have left is course 9, and there really isn't that much because those Swift rivers are so quick. I mean, they just really aren't a whole bunch of work. In fact, they'll give you even time if you want to go through YouTube videos and see if you see any that might be able to help you keep your mind refreshed and things. But of course, you are doing other work too. But I'm just saying, when I did NCLEX and things, we didn't have all these YouTube videos from qualified people that do science-based, nurses and things like this, to pick up and just sort of watch. And I know I would have done an even better, a better job. I passed, so that's good enough, but it would have been even better over that top. So anyway, it's things to think about. And remember, I've said this before, don't wait too long after you've gotten your green light to take your test, because there's a lot of things that are just floating on the outside of your brain that are going to disappear every day. You're going to lose more and more. So go ahead and get that lined up and take it. You guys, everybody's going to pass, but you want to make sure that you pass. So you want to take it when things are really fresh in your mind. And by now, if you don't know it now, by now, then there isn't, much of a chance of you suddenly going to learn something that's going to make things wonderful. You've had a lot of NCLEX videos, which I think are so very helpful. Dr. Sharon has, I know, raised a lot of your confidence. I had to redo my BLS here a couple of days ago, and I had to take the test, of course. And I answered those questions according to how Dr. Sharon and these NCLEX questions are being taught. And it was easy. I mean, it was easy. This can transfer to a lot of things. So anyway, just wanted to say. But anyway, okay, so let me see. Let me start on the agenda. Don't forget to submit your CTR clinical pages for each day of clinicals, because you've got a page just for like the 3rd day or the 4th day, whatever. And I need you to do them as soon as that day is over, or halfway through at the hospital. You can do them, but you need to get them done so that I can look at them and see how you're progressing. But they don't take that long to write, so just go ahead and do it and submit it under the appropriate assignment. Because you don't want to wait till too long, because if you wait, now I got 5 to do, it's just going to be a bunch of junk. It's not going to be really information worth anything, because you would not remember necessarily what you were thinking the second clinical on your self-eval, and then the 3rd, and then the 4th. You need to get them done as you do them. I should have put in a little bit tighter due date, and I'll just watch to see how it goes this first week. And if it does, then if things get kind of piled up and looking mucky, then I'll go ahead and change it to where things are due within 24 hours of you doing that clinical, and that might be the answer. All right, and as also, if you can, call me whatever during business hours, please. At least once a week. You only have 2 weeks, so this isn't a big request, just so that I can kind of see how you're doing. Is everything working out okay? Are you getting the experience that you were hoping you're going to get? This kind of stuff. Just so that, and I can write that down and put it on that page in your file. So that'll help. All right. Also, I had forgot to put the employability assignment. Where you just say, you just copy that. I read my employability thing. I can't remember exactly what it says, but copy paste it, put it in there, and then you either get 100 points or hopefully above 80 points. So anyway, I forgot to put them in for course 8. So you now have one in there, and it's due the second week, which is the last week of your program. Just go ahead and just open it up and copy paste that statement, and then I can go back in and put in your employability stuff. So that's great. All right. Anyways, glad I caught that, because that actually I was starting to do a transcript, because some people are getting it all done now, and then with this last video, I'll be able to give them the put in their transcript for course 8. They'll be done with course 8 and working on course 9. So, and that's when I found, I was like, wait a minute, why is that blank all the way down the row of employability? And then I looked and went, I forgot to put it in there. So, all right, let me see. And that, employability is pretty important to iTech, and it's important, the relationship with the hospitals and stuff. People are looking in on us, often, from the other hospitals, seeing how things are progressing. They're part of the support team and everything. So that helps them to kind of see how you're doing too, because employability is like their number one thing. This person's got to be somebody that shows up, that isn't tardy, they're looking for people that are good employees so that they don't have to worry about it. So I just hope people that do tend to be tardy a lot, they stop that, because they will not keep their job for very long. And of course, you know that as LPNs already. All right, so don't forget to do each of those clinical days. Put them in your CTR and send them. And remember, you don't have to do that page on bedside notes. That whatever you do would be with your preceptor. If whatever, I don't know if she'll end up having you do it on their programming or whatever or not, but you don't have to do it with this course. Just get that clinical day in and then submit it to me so that I could keep track of how you're doing. I can't find out that something's gone awry. There's only 2 weeks of this, so I can't find out at the end of the second week, because then you might be having big problems because I wasn't able to see it. All right, so let me see. So in case there's 6 clinical pages in there, because 12 hours, 72 hours is 6 clinical days. But if for some reason you had to split something, or maybe have a couple of 8-hour shifts, I don't know, whatever it is that you did to work out to where you graduate, that you're done March the 1st, then so I added on a couple of extra pages just in case you needed them. That doesn't mean that for no reason you go and do 2 more 12-hour shifts. This is just extras in case you need them. All right. So anyway, I barely overheard somebody was concerned that they did not have to do preceptorships in the PN classes, and was wondering why they had to do it in the RN classes. And I thought that was so funny. I thought maybe they just heard that or thought that in a dream or something. Why would you say you were thinking that? Because it's too silly. Especially for somebody that's almost a graduated RN to even be thinking. All right, so please do not think that you're going to now be, when you graduate, a glorified PN. Your PN days will be over. You will have become an RN, which is a bit different. Hopefully everybody is above that level of thinking at this point, that they aren't going to be some just LPN still, whatever. You are advancing to RN-hood. So the demands on you is going to be a lot more than they were as a PN, and especially concerning the health and the welfare of the patients. You'll also be taking, kind of watching how your people under you are doing, your LPN or your PN. There's a lot of things that are going to be under your responsibility right now. Now, nobody's expecting, the queen of RN-hood, or king, the first week of after you graduate, after you get your license. But with time, you want to learn and just keep learning as much as you can, so that in a year's time, you're going to look back and go, man, I didn't know anything when I graduated. Now I know so much more. And then every year will be like that. Your future is so exciting. I mean, it really is, because now you'll actually have the ability and the license to do those things that you're learning. You're not the LPN hoping that the RN does things right, or whatever. You're the one doing things right or wrong. Always be quick to ask a question. Always be quick to double check something. Of course, any med you put in anybody's mouth, you check it how many times. It's kind of a neat world you're moving into. It was cool, I know, as an LPN, but now it's going to be even cooler, let me tell you. All right, and just remember that everything in this RN class was required by the Department of Education and the Florida State Board of Nursing. They had specifically put Dr. Mary Ann Eames to the task of making their requirements and their ideas into an evidence-based program to take a LPN to an RN. And that is what you're in right now. It's kind of a big thing. It's kind of neat. And mostly this was answered because of the loss of nurses from the COVID era. They did lose a lot of nurses. A lot of nurses went out of the medical field. Over 1,000 didn't survive. So, we talk about how many people died in America. Just Americans died. There's over 1.2 million people that died because of COVID. Most of them were in the very beginning when they didn't understand you needed to wear a good mask. They didn't have a vaccine yet, and people were becoming the victims of COVID. And I always tell people, when you see something like that, think about, those 1.2 million lives were fathers and mothers of people. They were sisters and brothers. They were friends. They were husbands and wives. I mean, these people, always look at the humanity of everything. Don't just, that's a drug addict, or that's a whatever. Think of the humanity, who those people are and what their future might hold for them. The things that were lost from all of those husbands and wives and mothers and fathers, all the things that could have been because those people died. It's kind of an eerie thing. I lost one of my friends that's an FNP, and it was in the very beginning when people didn't quite understand. We didn't have a vaccine yet. Once a vaccine came on board, then instead of the ERs being full of just everybody, regular people, whatever, with COVID, it became full of the unvaccinated. In fact, we started calling it the disease of the unvaccinated, because suddenly the numbers dropped down. The emergency departments were no longer filled with everybody. They were filled with just that group of people who didn't, think, these are silly vaccines. So-and-so told us that it, whatever. Of course, so-and-so took some too. So anyway, so the people who actually complained and tried to get the most people not to do it were people who did it themselves. So it was interesting. But once that happened, everything started clearing out, because people couldn't even go in and get surgeries. They couldn't get a lot of things. If you had a broken arm, you had a hard time getting into an emergency department because it was packed full of unvaccinated COVID patients. That last year was the worst. It was bad in the beginning, but it was even worse when, your kid's got a broken arm and they've got to wait 5 hours because they've got their halls are filled with gurneys with unvaccinated COVID patients. So this is all going to come around again. I mean, that's in our future again. So you're going to be involved in it this time, and use your wisdom that you gained. Wear masks. Don't listen to anybody's BS. Just take whatever vaccine they say this will keep you alive, because everything went down once that started. You know, the medical people, we stopped losing medical people because they wore their personal protection stuff. You know, they knew then how to prevent it, and still people got in trouble. But it just wasn't the same as in that beginning. It was something else. The pre-vaccine was just awful. So you're going to live through one. So you stand up and you know, get things done correctly, because you've got a whole era of COVID people to look at to see what was right and what was wrong. Anyway, okay, sorry, I'm off that. I've got goosebumps. I need to get off that subject anyway. So, but anyway, after this video, I'm going to be bringing it down to just every Saturday. So we only have a couple of videos left, because there really isn't that much more for me to be talking about, although this is lasting quite a while. But sorry, I apologize. But so after this video, it's just going to be Saturdays, and then I'll talk to everybody before the last day, because according to the schedule, your preceptor and you and me need to have a online Zoom, and just so I could hear their opinions, what in your opinions, how things went, and then get everything cleared up. And do bring in have them sign everything on their CTR, and yours of course too, because I've got to sign my names on everything, and so we're going to have to kind of meet that way. After you get your last day in, find a way to just come on in and bring everything with you, and we'll all sign everything off, and then you can make your copies so they can enter it into your records, into your Canvas. All right, it's kind of a last little scramble before you graduate, March the 3rd. All right. Oh, and Natalie, the one who does the photographs, she says be here on March the 3rd at 3 o'clock, because she wants to start taking the pictures at 3. The graduation is at 4. And it was kind of like what you guys were saying, so that works out. So be here at 3 o'clock, March the 3rd. All right. Oh, and just to let you know, I did put in my notice. The last day will be the 30th of March for me. So I'll actually be caught up into the orientation for the next program, which I offered that to her. I said, if you want me to do it, be no problem, because I know this program, so that would be just fine. I don't know if they don't find somebody in time, you know, whatever. There you go. And Cindy has kind of talked to me about maybe staying and just doing the 4 clinicals each course. I don't know, though. I have to think about that, because I'll have to get another car, because mine's on its last leg. Ever since that cowgirl ran over my front part, my car, with her big arse truck. It's just, that front wheel still tilts. Surprised it hasn't flown off, you know. It's kind of bad. But anyway, if I have to do that, then I've got to get another car. And I actually looked up to see what the Toyota Highlanders, the same age as the one I've got, which is a 2002, what they're running. And they're running between 5,000 and 7,000. I mean, that just tells you how good these cars are. I mean, look at it. It's limping with a tilted wheel for about 8 months, and it's still just driving fine. But I'm going to kill myself in it. I need to get another one. If this continues. If not, then not. I won't bother, because there isn't that much I do at home when I was retired the first few years. All right, so back to the class. Okay, just a reminder, put everything down on your timesheet when you hit course 9. As I've said before, not your what you did before. Now you want to put in all of your ATI hours, all of your, if you study your notes for 4 hours, put that in there. Everything has to be in there. And I don't quite understand the logic of that, but I'm sure I will find out when NLN comes around here this summer sometime. And I offered that would come in and do that too, but maybe I won't either. So we'll just see. Right. So, okay, don't forget to call me if you have any questions. I'm here, still here 5 days a week, and try to contact me once a week at least to just check in. I want to hear how everything's going. A couple of you are doing that, and that's just wonderful. I mean, I would have thought that would be a good idea too. But for those who aren't thinking about it, I need you to call me about once a week. We don't have but 2 weeks in this course, so that isn't a big thing. Here's a question. So what assignment did Marcella forget to do and just now put in to Course 8? And I talked about it earlier. So that's the question. What assignment did Marcella forget to put in to Course 8 and is just now put it in? All right. You guys have a good day. Call me if you need anything. Bye-bye.